because, okay, so does anybody have any quick questions that they want, that are burning in them before we let him start? Okay, good. That's awesome. All right, and I think that we're adding people as we speak. So, all right. So, Pat, thank you for joining us. We so appreciate you being here. If you were here a couple of months ago, Pat joined us and gave us some great information. And so New Horizons asked him to come back. We're hoping that he'll join us periodically because he is is a wealth of information, and it's always good for us to hear from other people. So it's your turn. You're on.
Where do you want me to start, Wendy? Where would you like me to start?
I would like you to start with, so we have a lot of older dogs, older being 15 months to 2 to 2.5 years. Some of them are pullers, and we've been giving suggestions, but that would be a great place to start.
Okay, and are some of these still that came out of the prisons that?
Yes, most of them have. Okay. Yes, most of them have been with a razor and now come out of prison, and some of them were in prison for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. My background is I've worked with just about every kind of animal in the world, and a lot of the animals that I worked with were quite large, and to make them do things was impossible. You had to find ways to reinforce them to get them to do things. So my training with dogs is the same philosophy. I treat a dog just like I would a killer whale, a polar bear, a walrus, a dolphin, a sea lion, anything like that. So when I start out with a new dog with teaching them to walk on a loose leash, a lot of people want to do straight lines. I don't do straight lines. I do clockwise circles. The only straight lines I'll do in the beginning is I'm backing away from the dog, and they're getting them to give me attention, looking up at me, and reinforcing them for looking up at me. And then I'll turn to my right and I'll start doing counter or clockwise circles. And then by doing that, by turning to my right, the dog always ends up on my left. If the dog runs in front of me, I stop, I wait, and they give me attention again. I turn to my right, start doing a clockwise circle. If you always, I hold my leash in my right hand and I hold it about waist high, and I only give the dog enough room to have a nice gentle J in the leash. Does everybody know what a gentle J in the leash is? Yeah, I'm hoping. I don't let them have enough leash that they can wrap around me once or twice. It's just enough room. They can be comfortably by my side, or if they actually run in front of me slightly, then I can stop, wait, turn to my right, and they're going to go again. I'd love to do someday. I'm going to get with Wendy and we're going to do this. We're going to get together now that COVID is settled down, and we're going to get together and we'll do a video on this, how I do the loose leash walking, so everybody can actually see what I'm talking about. It's something I've used in group classes, private lessons, my own dogs, you name it. And it works simply because you're driving for attention from the dog. You're not asking for attention, you're waiting for them to give you attention. And when they give you attention, they get reinforced. So you're teaching the dog, they have to do something in order to get reinforced. We're not going to call their name, do anything, pop the leash, whatever, anything to get their attention, other than stand there and wait till they give us attention and reinforce that. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Any questions at all, guys? Anybody having an issue right now with the loose leash and they have a question?
I have a quick question. So when you're doing the clockwise circles, how long does it take for you to kind of steer away from that into going into like straight lines?
It doesn't take long. Here's the thing that you can't do. If you are trying to get the loose leash walking, a lot of us want to go out and go on a walk on the sidewalk and go for exercise or for reinforcement for the dog. Until you get the loose leash walking, you really got to stay away from that, because you're going to teach them bad habits going for those walks. What I suggest you do is you find a place where you can, to exercise your dog, use ball or do something like that. If you have to walk your dogs in order, if there's no other resort, try to use a different leash. Maybe take a flexi, transport the dog to wherever you're going to go, get out of the car, let them go on the flexi and run on the flexi, and then recall them back into you and then put them back in the car and go back home. Until you get them understanding, paying attention on the loose leash walking, no straight lines. And on a sidewalk, that the dog is an airstrip of senses and smells and sounds, and everything in the world is out there. The squirrel just ran by, your neighbor's dog just walked over and did its business. I mean, there's so many reinforcers in the environment that you're not going to have a chance. That's why you've got to get it before you even go out there.
And
Does that make sense? So it doesn't take long if you practice it a lot.
Right.
And when I say a lot, I'm not talking about 4-hour sessions. I'm talking about 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at noon, 10 minutes at night. Any other questions on that? I really wish I had a video of us doing it, because it works so well to do it. And I don't know how much reinforcement you guys use. Wendy, help me out here. Are you guys using a lot of food reinforcements for this, or is it all praise and or toys?
For the puppies, it's both, and it really depends on the dog. Like, I can get Wasabi to work mostly without treats. I use them once in a while. But some of our dogs are definitely more treat motivated. The older dogs, we're trying to get away from treats, but we still have, especially those dogs that were in prison for a long time. That's the inmates use treats. And so I believe so. And so people are using them because that's what their dog is performing for. So it varies by dog. The goal is always to get away from treats as the dog gets older.
Okay. Does everybody know the difference between a primary and a secondary reinforcer?
Are your eyes red?
No. Okay. A primary reinforcer is something an animal needs to sustain life. Food. You don't have to teach your dog to like the food. They're born knowing they need food. They know they need air. That's a primary reinforcer. So what you need to do is you use your primary reinforcer of food to condition other reinforcers, such as a rub down, a ball, just a smile from mom or dad, or a verbal praise of good dog. You've got to condition other rewards that will have that same value as the food if you condition it right. So a lot of times you will say good, that's what I use to tell a dog they've done it correct. Are you using clickers or any other verbal cues for a bridge? No, none.
All verbal.
All verbal bridges. Is everybody using the same bridge for all the dogs, or do everybody have their own thing?
Well,
I say good.
So it should be good is one of them. Yes, that's it.
Okay.
I mean,
so everybody's going to have their own. Each individual dog's going to have their own bridge. Or does everybody know what a bridge is? A bridge is a word or a sound that tells the dog, yes, you've done that correctly. You will receive.
Yes. And we call them markers.
Okay, you're marking the correct behavior.
Yeah. So we have them in our command book, and there's only 3 or 4 of them. So is a marker, but it's a correction. And then if they do it right, that's it. Yes.
Okay.
We sometimes use no. We try to use we should all be using because that's something they hear from a puppy right up until they get placed.
Right. Okay. And it's okay to use something to redirect an incorrect behavior. I mean, and the only time I redirect an incorrect behavior if it's going to cause harm to the dog or somebody else. If the dog is running around in a safe place and not going to bother anybody, why would you say They're not going to understand it or worry about it, unless you teach that they're going to get reinforced. If they hear that, turn around, because really that's nothing more than another bridge if you're using it to reinforce them for coming back. Right. So it's a conditioned reinforcer. So anyhow, once you condition this, and how I condition a yes or an okay or a good dog is I take their bowl of food, and before I feed them their bowl of food, hopefully everybody's feeding dry, I give them, I'll say, look, have them have my attention. I'm holding the bowl, or the bowl sitting on the counter, and I say good, and give them a piece of food. Good, and give them a piece of food. Good, give them a piece of food. And I do 8 or 10 of those pieces of food, and then I give them the rest of their food and let them eat. You do that for a week's time, and by the end of the week, the dog hears the word good, and it's going to look and know that it's done something right, and it's going to receive some kind of reinforcement. I don't use extra treats. I don't use all other stuff. I use just their regular food in the beginning to get them to understand it. So you feed 2 to 3 times a day, you got 2 to 3 training sessions right there. Training time is anytime you're with the dog. So it's not, we have to put this magical cape on and go, it's training time, you know, and fly in and do an hour session. It's all the time you're with your dog, and it's 2 to 3 seconds or minutes here, 2 to 3 minutes here, 2 to 3 minutes there, and you're with the dogs throughout the day. They're going in and out of their crates. You're teaching them inside, good, reinforce, you know, that kind of thing. But then we've got to get away from that food. We've got to get away and start conditioning other reinforcers. And every dog's going to be different as to what they like or don't like. When I worked at SeaWorld, I worked with multiple different kinds of animals and multiple different animals within those same species. And sea lions were probably my favorite ones to work with because they were on land with us. We used to call them sea dogs. And they were 400 or 500 pound dogs is what they were. And every one of them had a different reinforcer that they liked. Some liked, you know, their back scratched or their whiskers scratched, or I had a walrus that loved the lid of a big igloo cooler. That was his favorite reward. If he did something right, you tossed him that thing and he swam around with it tucked under his pec, and he would swim all around for the day with that and just loved it, thought it was his best friend. So you had to find different things that were reinforcing to each animal and would then keep that behavior going. That's the whole key, is a reinforcer has to reinforce that behavior so the animal wants to repeat it. Okay? Any questions on reinforcement and bridges and that? Because that's really the key for all of this. You can teach anything as long as you figure out what the dog wants and when they want it and how you can reinforce them and can increase that frequency of that behavior.
Yeah. So we do suggest with the puppies that you try to start with the kibble, with their, you know, just their regular food. If for some reason your dog is having trouble with working with just the regular food, that's when we suggest you find another high value treat. But yeah, definitely. If your dog's happy with their kibble, then use that. There's no point in buying extra treats.
Well, generally in your home where they're desensitized or already used to a lot of the distractions that are going on, as long as you don't have a guest come in or something like that, your dogs are fine to using their kibble. Once you get outside or you have somebody new come to the house, that's when you have to pull out those higher value rewards. And it could be something as simple as taking a piece of cheese and just rubbing it into their regular kibble. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of treats. Just spice up what they have. And that's, you know, just take a piece of sliced cheese and roll it into their food and rub it in real good, and there it's all spiced up. The other thing I do when I have a puppy and I first start a puppy is if I'm feeding them 2 cups of food in the morning, 2 cups of food at night, I'll take a cup out of the morning food and cup out of the night food, and I put those in little feed stations around the house that they get fed those throughout the day. So they'll get a cup in the morning and then they'll get a cup at night, but they'll get the other 2 cups throughout the day for coming when called, going in their kennel, doing those things. So I'm not overfeeding and satiating my dogs with food. It's just like you or I, if you had walked into your bedroom and opened your sock drawer and money just started falling out of it, and I asked you to go do something for me and I was going to pay you $20, you've got a choice. You've got all the money and all your needs taken care of. If you feed your dog all the food he needs and you try to use food as a reinforcer, they've got a choice. So I'm not saying deprive them of food. I'm just saying have them work for their food. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Everybody good with that? Any questions on that? And this works with young dogs or old dogs. It doesn't matter how old they are. You can do it with any dog. And the other thing you got to remember is I don't care how well trained those dogs were before they got to your house. They're an 8-week-old puppy once they get to your house. You have to start all over again. Start from the beginning, treat them like an 8-week-old puppy. I just placed one of my dogs. He turned 2 on the 29th. He was going to be a show dog that didn't turn out for the show. And not because he wasn't absolutely gorgeous, but because he didn't have all his parts in the right place. So he went to a new family up in Pensacola, wonderful family. They've got 2 kids and he's fit right in. But I told them the same thing. I said, he is a well-trained dog here. But once he gets to your house, it's a clean slate. You're going to have to reshape everything, teach him to go in his crate, go out and go potty and where he's got to go potty. Because they kept saying, is he housebroken? Is he housebroken? I said, at my house. Not yours. At my house, he knows where to go. So dogs and animals don't transfer well. When I worked at SeaWorld, we used to move animals from park to park. And when we did, you would ask them to do a behavior that they did just fine in one park, but they had no idea how to do it in another park. It was crazy. You would go, how do they not know that? And you have to reshape behaviors when you move an animal to a new location. They don't always transfer well.
Yeah. So. And I think that's something we sometimes forget when we get those older dogs out of prison. We think this dog is older, they should know, but as soon as they get into our house, they lose their brain. So yeah, we definitely have encouraged people who are getting those dogs out of prison to be patient with them and give them time to adjust.
It doesn't take long. It really doesn't take long at all. It's just going back and doing those basics, and you have a couple of days and boom, they'll be right back on track.
Which kind of goes into our next thing, Pat, is I want you to talk about being a competent handler without being, and I don't think any of our handlers are mean, just being competent, like knowing how to control your dog. Because I think some of us are a little bit, like tentative, not sure, where our dogs sense that.
Well, the dog doesn't know you made a mistake or not. Only you do. So just carry on. Just do it.
Yeah,
and move on through. And
they'll
go, oh, we'll follow you. And it's the same old thing where if I walked in here today and said, hi guys, my name is Pat, and I did that kind of thing, you wouldn't listen to me. But I came in and said, hi guys, how are you? I'm Pat, and this is what I do, and this is where I came from. I don't care, I'm going to lead. And if I lead like that and that, you're going to listen to me. I've had teachers like that before, where they would sit back and they would be so quiet and they wouldn't do anything. And you didn't enjoy those classes. Those were not the classes that you followed or did anything. Right. Same thing with a boss. If you had a boss that came in and said, hey, I kind of want you guys to file these things today. And maybe if you get time, could you sweep the front hall? No, I go into my place. I own a dog boarding, grooming, and daycare. I go in and my girls go, hey, this is what we did today. And I tell all my girls, I want you guys to come to me. If you have an issue, I want you to come tell me about it, but I want you to tell me the solution. So I'm teaching them to be the leaders too, not just stand there and take from mine. I want them telling me how they're going to fix whatever's gone wrong. Okay. So it's the same thing with dog training. I don't care if you ask the dog to jump through a window and the dog said, I can't jump through the window. I was just kidding. Come on, let's go over here. Just move through, just get going and happy and laugh. Smile on the face helps a lot. And just move through and walk like you're going someplace. And dogs, I'm going, you coming? And that's why the doing the clockwise circles work. Have you ever watched a marching band and the guy on the outside, you have 5 people in a row and they're doing this turn, and that one on the outside's running, the first one on the inside is very pivoting. That's what happens when you're doing those clockwise circles. Dogs on the outside moving faster, but you're just barely moving, and they're trying to keep up if you just keep turning to the right. So it works in that way for us too. Anyhow, so I'm kind of getting off track, but yes, you got to be a leader. If you're not leading these dogs, they're going to lead you. Yeah. And a lot of these dogs are pretty strong-willed. Yes. They're bred. You're using mostly Goldens now, right?
Yes. Yeah, some labs, but
yes,
a lot of Goldens.
Some labs, but either one. These are very strong-willed breeds, and if you don't do something, they're going to take advantage and do it themselves and do it their way, not the way you're doing it. So, yes. Very important to lead.
Yeah.
Any questions? Anybody having issues with that, where they're not leading? Oh, there was one. She's a great. Thank you for being honest. What's going on? Tell us about it. Tell us what's going on.
It's a total struggle because I weigh 8 pounds more than this dog does. So I'm going to stop trying to do sidewalk walks now because that's my biggest struggle. When I've taken him into stores, he's actually super good and mostly doesn't pull. Sometimes I struggle to get his attention. But really he's not, well, he did bark at the butcher at Publix because he had a hairnet on and he didn't like that. But that's my 12-year-old. Hey, shush. He needs help getting up the stairs. 1 second. Come on.
She has Conan, who is a Dane Lab, I think 125 pounds.
Well, I took him to the vet last week and they said 130 on the dot.
Oh,
So,
okay. Okay.
yeah. So now y'all know how much I weigh. So, but my point is, it's like, you know, to try to get his attention or like give him a little correction, like a little physical correction, either with a little knee bump or it's like he doesn't even feel me because he's a monster.
Right.
So,
But that's where if you stay still, stop
right, like
doing
we just went on a
everything,
walk before
and
we
wait for him
came.
to look to you, and then he gets reinforced with something that's reinforcing to him.
Right. So I went for a quick walk with him before we got on here, just around the block, just to get him outside for a few minutes. And we're going to go, well, it's going to go again, but now I'm not going to go on the sidewalk. But he would not stop trying to pull me to sniff. So I stopped walking and I just stood there and he just continued to sniff. And so then I got his attention for like a second and I asked him to sit and he did. But then he immediately got back up and started like pulling to sniff again. And I literally stood in the same position for probably just over 5 minutes, just waiting for him to recognize that I was there.
I've been there.
It's like, and he's good. He's smart. He's sweet. My dog that I've had for 12 years is like 0% alpha. So when I took him to a trainer and learned how to win the alpha position over him, it was pretty easy because he doesn't have any alpha in him, really. He was like a lost puppy until I learned what to do. But Conan is definitely more naturally alpha. Like he's totally in charge of my dog. So I feel like I'm struggling more because, I mean, obviously he's a different dog than mine, but it's like, he's a stronger personality than my own dog is.
Yes.
So I'm struggling to be bigger than that, I guess.
But don't think of it that way. You've got tools that you can use.
Yeah.
You can reinforce him for doing what you want him to do. And what I want you to do, like I said, if he's food motivated at all, and because most labs and Goldens and those kind of breeds love their food. If you take a cup out of his morning meal,
he did not care at Publix when I was trying to like get him to like keep walking past this guy in the like butcher area instead of continuing to bark. I had treats on me or his food and I kind of called him and kind of let him know that I had it because I was like, I can't let him continue to bark in the middle of the store. And he didn't give a rat's about the food I had in my hand at that point.
Yeah.
Like he was gone.
But where are you with your food? Did he have breakfast that morning or dinner before you went?
No, it was like afternoon before dinner.
But he had breakfast that morning, a full breakfast.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was already full. He was already, all his needs were taken care of. And that's what I'm saying. If you use the food out of their regular meals and use that throughout the day.
I will.
If I had a dog like that where I didn't have any control like it all, they wouldn't get anything in a bowl. Everything would come out of my hands.
Okay.
Everything. Okay. So they have to go through me in order to get what they need to sustain life.
Yeah, because I do ask him to do things before I feed him his food. I ask him to do a couple of things so he knows that he's getting food because he did things.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying,
I will keep some. I actually have a little bowl on my kitchen counter just for when he like is listening well, I can give him something, but I will give him less in his meal bowl.
Yes. Yeah. But what I would do is definitely find out exactly what he needs or what he normally eats. And I would reduce that amount, taking half of it out to use for rewards throughout the day.
Okay. I will do that. Thank you.
And again, if that doesn't get you where you want to be, where if a distraction is going to do, then he would not get any food. Everything is going to come from you until he starts turning around. And it'll only take a short period of time that he'll figure out, if I want to eat and not have my stomach gurgling, I got to go through mom. He's not going to die. It's going to be harder on you not feeding him than it is on him. I promise you.
No, I know.
He'll survive. These are descendants of wolves. They can go 3 and 4 days without eating. They'll be okay.
We went through a whole reset with my 12-year-old when he was 1 year old after we went to, do you know who Martin Dealey is?
Yes.
He passed away. Yeah. So we went to Martin Dealey with my 12-year-old and he put us on a whole program. And I was like, oh, I am definitely the problem. And it took about a week and the switch flipped.
Yeah.
So, okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Anybody, anything, guys? Right now, I don't know. Wendy, you got something else to direct us towards?
Yeah, in a second. Jessica, did you want to ask a question? I saw your hand go like this earlier.
Oh, well, I like semi have control over my puppy Fiji. It's like a hit or miss sometimes. I think she respects me and she knows I'm in charge, but she tries to go around me, is what we're dealing with right now. So as soon as she sees me walking over, she's like, oh no. But that's kind of where we're at.
What do you mean by walking over? She goes, oh no, what do you mean?
I mean, like when she knows she's not supposed to be chewing on the furniture, like she'll think that I'm, somewhere busy and I'll hear her chewing and I'll walk over and she's like, oh, that wasn't me. I don't know how that happened. Like, I don't know. But
so what, how old is she?
She's 4, almost 5 months. And the pulling has been, we're going to walk in circles because she just pulls all the time. No matter what I do, I try holding her, like collar a little higher up. I don't know what it is. She just wants to pull all the time.
Yeah, well, it's what she's learned to do to get to what she wants. So what I would do, number one, if she's chewing on things, because chewing's only going to get worse. Most of my chewing calls come between 7 and 9 months of age, once the back molars start coming in. So if she's chewing now, my puppy rules are this. If I don't have time to watch my dog, and I mean watch my dog without anything else going on, the TV's off, it's me and the dog. The dog is in a safe place, whether that's a crate, X pen, somewhere where they can only get to their things and not get in trouble. It's number one, you're teaching them to chew. Number two, I don't want them to ingest something that they can't. I've had a client that had a German Shepherd and she didn't want to use the crate and she thought it'd be okay to let the dog just lay at her feet while she worked on the computer. Okay, she was working on the computer and it went blank because the dog ate the cords. So what I tell everybody to do not take your eyes off of a puppy at all. And I do what's called the 20-minute rule. The dog comes out of its crate, take it out to go potty, comes back in, we do training or whatever we're gonna do, play, because I use a thing where you go through play, exercise, learning, eating, and relationship and socialization. I do the whole thing, but anyhow, in my classes. So what I do the same thing with my dogs. They come out, they go out potty, they come back in, we play, we do something, we teach, whatever, for 5, 10, 15 minutes max. Take them out to go potty again, put them back in the crate and go do the things I need to get done. Because I still have to live. And I don't want to live on pins and needles, wondering whether my dog's eating the pillow on the couch. I want to know that they're safe. Now, you don't want to leave them in the crate all day long. So you do 20-minute here, 20-minute there. By the end of the day, you do 6 or 8 20-minute rules. And the dog's getting all the exercise, they're getting the learning, they're getting the feeding, they're getting everything that they need to do what they need to do. And they don't learn any bad habits. Okay, they're in a safe place. So it doesn't take long. Most of my dogs are in a crate till they're about 12, 14 months old, and then they don't have to be in a crate. But I still have crates in my house. And most of the time I look where my dogs are, they're in the crates with the door open because that's their bedroom. That's their place. That's their home. And I keep it in a nice, safe place. I keep it under a table in the laundry room. So it's kind of like a cave or a den for them to go to. And that's their place. And if I could get upset about anything, watching a TV show and get upset about it, my dogs run for their kill because, oh no, that's their safe place, And I don't beat my dogs or anything like that. It wouldn't matter if I did. I have Staffordshire Bull Terriers. You could beat them with a brick and they wouldn't feel it, They only get upset if I'm upset. But anyhow, so just the big thing is do not allow her to do that so you don't have to come in and correct that. That's something preventable by us. I used to, people would tell me, oh, my dog keeps peeing in the house. I said, what do you do? And the guy goes, I rubbed his nose in it and spanked him and put him in the kennel. And I said, do you have any kids? And he said, yeah. I said, so when your kid messed his diaper, did you rub his nose in and spank him and put him in his bedroom? And the guy goes, no. I said, why are you doing it to your dog? It's the same thing. We've got to, we're supposedly the smarter species. So we've got to use our heads and think about where we're going and move forward with things, how we can do it and prevent things before they happen. Because once they learn something, it's a lot harder to extinguish incorrect behavior than it is to train new. A lot harder. Okay.
Well,
It's not, you're not broken yet, Jessica. Don't worry, you're not broken yet.
well, because she's like training to be a service dog, I've been letting her, when I work on my laptop, she'll like, even right now, I am at my desk and she lays right by my feet. Then when she wakes up, she's a little bored, she'll start chewing on the chair, with that kind of thing. So should I just leave her in a crate, or how should I approach that?
And here's how I do it. This is my way. If she's safe where you're at right now and you're aware enough to see her peripherally or whatever, that you can tell when she wakes up and you immediately then take her outside, I don't have a problem with it. But if you're so distracted on what you're doing on the computer, like right now listening, and she's then leans over, she acts like she starts chewing the leg, you've lost the game.
Okay. Well,
So what I do is I leash Wasabi if I'm like sitting on the couch working on the computer or whatever, and I know like part of my attention is on him, I will leash him and tuck his leash under my leg. And so one, he can't just wander off if I am not paying attention. And
Right.
Two, I will bring several toys of his and just lay them around him. So if he's sleeping, when he wakes up, there's something there that will get his attention. And
weirdest thing, she
knock
has,
on wood, we haven't had any issues, but we have had chewing issues in the past, certainly. But
she has all the toys, but she would much rather chew on something she knows she's not supposed to. And maybe that's on me for telling her from the beginning, like, now she knows, like, oh, this is what I shouldn't. I think she just wants my attention. That's why she does it, is my guess. But
And you're not all that far off of wrong, because they don't understand all the time that what they're chewing on, number one. So the chair is no different than a bone or a toy or anything like that to them. And two, with what you're saying about you getting your attention, have you ever seen a kid act out to get their parents' attention?
yeah,
They don't care whether it's positive or negative or whatever, just so they got attention. And the dogs will do the same thing. You can't, they'll do it just to get your attention. Because I can tell right now, you're gonna go, oh, you bad dog, what are you doing? You're not gonna physically correct this dog. You just, that's, and I don't want you to.
right.
You shouldn't have to. But what I'm saying is, if you follow what I'm telling you, put the dog in the crate when you can't watch her,
Mhm.
and do that for a while, you will be much happier. You'll be able to go and work on your computer with ease, not worrying about whether she's going to roll over and chew the leg of the table or the chair or whatever,
Yeah.
and get your work done, and then go play with the dog. So it's separating those times and making sure that you're giving time for the dog, and when you're with the dog, it's productive time.
right. And it's okay to crate. I mean, they should be used to their crates. I know we have a few that bark when you put them in their crates, but it's okay. And like he said, put it in a dark, Wasabi's happens to have a towel over it. That seems to help him. So, and I think Nikki didn't you, Nicole, use a towel also, and that really helped? Yeah.
Yeah, the towel and the fan helps a lot. I have a question with the crate though. So I'm at the point where if I don't put a cookie in, he won't go in. So he like stands in the doorway and he knows it's coming. And so he's getting like outsmarting me kind of thing, where he won't approach the crate if he knows it's time to go back in. So I don't know how to coax him in other than a treat.
How old is he, and how long have you had him?
So I have a puppy. He's a little over 4 months. I've had him for a little over 2 months. He's doing great though.
Okay. Are you feeding your meals in the crate or somewhere else?
No, I'm not feeding him in the crate.
I'd
Somewhere
start
else.
feeding him in his crate.
Okay.
And then taking some of that food that you would normally feed in meals and utilizing that for him going in the crate. But do not throw the treat. Now, it depends on how you've trained it. Have you trained the crate and given a verbal cue of inside and gone through the process of doing it just like you would teach a sit or a down?
Yes, I
Okay,
say
so you've
kennel
been
every
through all
time. Go
that.
kennel.
I would go back through that again quickly. Go back through the steps or the approximations that you took to get there and go back to that. But I would get where I would stick to my guns and find, you're going to have to take the time. I know a lot of times we're in a rush trying to go someplace or the phone's ringing or you got to be somewhere taking care of other things, kids or husbands or wives and whatever. I know life happens, but you're going to have to take the time now because what he's doing is he's waiting for that treat to go in. So what you've conditioned now is I throw the treat in, he goes in.
Yeah.
And we want the other way. He does the behavior, then the treat gets rewarded for completing the behavior, not the reverse. Okay, so go back through your steps of training and you'll get it back quickly. But I would also start feeding him his regular meals in the crate. Everything is going to happen in the crate.
Yep. And
Good
I
and
go
bad.
through- I go
Good
through.
and good and bad. I always teach people that, they say, even if your dog's done something wrong, I tell them get in their crates and put them in their crate and give them a timeout. And they go, how can you do that? And I said, you're not supposed to use it for punishment or use it for when they're bad. I said, well, did you get in trouble when you were a kid and get sent to your room? And they said, well, yeah. I said, well, did you not sleep there that night because now your room's negative? No, you do. You want to have a balance of being a positive place to go more than a punishment place or somewhere where you give them a timeout, but you can use it for a timeout too. Okay. So
As long as
Thank
we're
you.
not throwing them in there.
no throwing them in. But the other thing you may want to do is, does he know sit?
Yes.
Okay. And is the crate in the living area or is it in a laundry room or somewhere other?
So right now it's in my office, which is also my bedroom because I'm traveling. So it's right next to me. So it's one of those things where I'm working during the day and I let him out for a potty break. We do something quick and I try to get him back in and he's like, oh, no, I think I'd rather stay out, but I don't trust him unless
So
he's
when you
leashed
come
to my
back,
chair.
when you go out for potty break or come back in, is he still on a leash?
No, he's loose.
I would get him on a leash and walk him where he can't go anywhere and you still have the control and then reward him for going over and stand near the crate and give him the command inside and wait until he goes in. Once he goes in, then he's going to get the reinforcement. If he's not on a leash, then he does have that freedom to go wherever he wants. So right now, because of what he's learned, to try to quickly get that back, you're going to have to use a leash.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, good stuff. So our command is crate.
Crate, whatever you guys, mine's inside
Right.
or kennel,
Yep.
either
I
one.
didn't want any of our new people to get confused.
I was so confused. I was like,
Yeah. So
Sorry, I was
so
using
some of Pat's
kennel.
commands are a little bit different, but I mean, they do the same thing. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Dogs don't speak English, which is just words we've taught them.
Right.
You could say peanut butter means get in your kennel and they don't know the difference.
Pat, I have a question. What do you do about, like, Sage doesn't bite me, but she bites people when they come to visit, like, really hard. So how can I, I say which works for me, and she'll stop. And as soon as I walk off, she'll start biting my guest again.
How old is she?
Sage is 4 months.
4 months. So she's still a baby. She's just learning her mouth stuff. That's one of those situations where I would have her on a leash when guests come over. So she can't go over and rehearse that because it's intrinsically or self-reinforcing for her to do that, whether it's the reaction of somebody or it's the tactile feel on her mouth of doing or taking the clothing or the skin into their mouth. But we got to nip that one in the butt real quick. So I would have her on a leash right away. And if she does it to you, is not a good one. The first time. If she continues to do it, then she goes in her crate. That's a
Okay.
timeout.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick question about feeding. So I have Fiji, that's my only dog right now, but I do want like a dog sit. And I've noticed that when other dogs are around, she'll like again, when I'm not looking or like I'm holding her and I'm making sure the other dogs are not around, she'll like sneak through and get like a little bit of food and then run off. So that's just her thing. Like she loves to try to do things that she's not supposed to do. But how do you kind of control, and if she's not eating the food, she's barking because she wants it. So how do you kind of control that and just manage that?
But it's going to be now. These guest dogs, are they being fed meals? Or are they grazers? Are they eating food down all the time?
Well, some of them were grazers, so I would leave it out, and then but I have a playpen, so I would put them in the playpen and let them. They were older; they sleep anyways, so they would kind of hang out there, and they would graze their food. But the dogs that are actually eating it, she just tries to go and grab their food.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a management thing from you. You're going to have to control that she can't get to it. And you may have to convert some of those dogs and put in food down for, no more than a half hour, 40 minutes because you can't live the whole day with her trying to get to the food and barking and doing that. So, putting the food down for those other dogs, give them a chance to eat. And if they don't eat, then that's on them. So.
But is that something that she'll grow out of, is like going after other dogs' foods, or is that no? No,
not if she's getting reinforced by getting that food. That's a reinforcement right there. Okay. That's a primary reinforcement. Why would that? And she got away with it.
So just
you probably go after her and tell her, "You bad dog, you bad dog." And she's going, catch me, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. So just keep her away from it
you're gonna have to either crate her while you're feeding the other dogs, and that's the only way.
Okay.
Yeah, because she'll keep doing that.
Yeah.
Laura, see, I use kennel and crate interchangeably. I always have. I don't strictly use kennel. Laura was asking about the manual says kennel, and as a command to go in the crate, and it is kennel. I just use both. I use kennel and crate, and they seem to know both of them. So.
And they will, yeah. My dogs know stay and wait. Yeah. They both know, and there's some people go, well, you can't do that. I belong to a couple professional organizations for trainers, and there was a big debate one time about, well, if you say wait, that means just stay there until I'm out of your sight and then you can get up. If I say stay, you have to stay there forever until I tell you you're released. Okay. Well, it just depends on what you teach.
Yes. So that's the difference for us in stay and wait. But yeah. Yep.
I have a question. I have a 20-month-old lab, and he's very exuberant when somebody comes to the front door, which is pretty normal. He used to lunge a lot, and I've got him really. He's much better on that, way better. In fact, almost perfect. But at the front door, so what I do is I take his leash, and I have a stairwell that's attached to the wall. So I attach him to that.
Yeah.
I don't answer the door until I make him sit. Yep. And then finally I'll answer the door. And then sometimes he'll sit, and then other times he'll start pulling and straining at the leash. And I tell the people at the front door, ignore him. Okay. Yep. And then I let them come in, and I say, just ignore him and go past. And then I stay with the dog, and I will get him calmed down again. And I won't let him off the leash until he is calm for me. 9 times out of 10, though, when I do let him off the leash, then he rushes over to see the people. It's only like for a second, because all he wants to do is sniff them, and then he's fine. Is there anything else I should be doing? Like, should I not take him off the leash, or am I doing the right thing?
I would probably not take him off the leash, and I would have him in a sit or a down stay, and have the people come over to him and let him get reinforced and touched that way, and maybe let them reinforce him for being good. Whether it be just a tactile rub down, or you give him a treat for doing that. And then at that point, if you think he's going to be settled, that's fine. Or you could just go over and sit down, keep him on the leash with you, and then let him relax and lay down with you and hang out Do that for 10 or 15 minutes, and then go put him away in his crate, and then entertain your guests. And when you have time, if they're still there, a half hour, 40 minutes later, bring him back out of his crate on a leash and let him greet the guests again. And then depending on how well he's doing would depend on how soon I let him off the leash. It may not be the first time that you do this. It may be 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road when you have guests come over that he's finally going to be okay and understand they're in the house, and I'm getting more reinforcement for being calm than jumping on these people. Because that's what he's doing. He's just trying to jump on them so they put their hands on him so he gets touched. So they,
Right.
That's what they're trying to do. So,
Okay.
so by you controlling the whole situation, but you don't want to sit there and entertain your guests and train your dog at the same time. So
No,
do
you
it for like
can't.
10 minutes and then put the dog away, and do it for 10 minutes again, and then put the dog away. So your dog is getting the interaction. You're not just shutting the dog away, but you're not doing it for 2 hours.
Okay, great. That's that.
But
that's
you're
it.
doing absolutely perfect at the door. That's exactly what I tell people at the door.
Yep.
To have a bowl of treats there or whatever you want to have a leash there, put the dog on the leash. If you have to step on the leash and hold the other end, you've got the option to tie it to the door or to the railing. And just holler to the people that are knocking at your door saying, hang on, I'm training my dog.
Right.
Yeah, the only person that's not going to stay there is the UPS man. He's going to drop and run because he doesn't want to mess with the dog. So, or the Amazon man now. So it's your friends are going to go, oh, I heard her. She's in there. So we'll wait, and they'll wait for quite a while. So
Okay. Yeah, keeping him on the leash and then using the crate, that I haven't tried that. So thank you.
yeah, just do short bursts, like 10 minutes. He's out there hanging out with friends. They can come over and pet him and touch him and then put him away. And then, so he's gotten his, as long as he's settled, as long as he's not jumping and lunging and
Right.
leaping and trying to get to him. Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. Thanks.
The key in that is that they're settled. If
Right.
they're going to settle, whether you're at home, whether you're out, they should not be greeting guests, anybody. So
Yeah.
we've talked about that quite a bit. If you're out and your dog is not behaving and they're pulling towards, somebody wants to meet them in the grocery store, or you're at Sam's Club, or you're wherever, then you can't allow them to make a friend. You can't. You have to say, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, they're working, and go on about your whatever you're doing. Because unless they're really settled and just like acting like it's no big deal to meet somebody, we don't want them greeting people, because we're only reinforcing that bad behavior.
Right. And the big thing when they're doing things you don't want them to do, please, please, please. I don't want to step on any toes here, but one thing I teach all my people is do not say anything. It goes back to what we talked about, reinforcing incorrect behavior. They don't care as long as they're getting attention from you. If you're going, it's okay, baby, it's okay, don't worry about it, it's all settled, and all these different things.
Yep.
Don't waste your energy. Only use your energy to reinforce what's the perfect behavior.
Right.
Take a picture in your mind of what your perfect behavior, your dog sitting next to you looks like. And that's the only thing that gets reinforced with any of your intention, whether it be food, whether it be rub down, whether it be verbal praise, whatever it be, that's the only thing that gets reinforced. All the other stuff, as long as the dog isn't going to hurt somebody or hurt you or hurt itself, don't worry about it. Just let them be.
Yeah.
Okay?
You do want to explain to the person though why they can't make it, because you know how people are.
Well, no, and people are really good when you tell them that. Say, hey, my dog's in training. He's not ready for that yet, but thanks for helping me out.
Yes.
If you just stand there for me, you're really helping me out today. Maybe next time I see you next week when I'm in the store, I'll let you pet him. He may be that far, but this is going to be a service dog and he's in training, and please. And they'll, oh, wow, that's great. Oh,
yes,
they all want to help.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, we met a young lady on the train the other day, and she had 3 dogs right there, and she so badly wanted to make a friend, and our dogs were being really good, but I didn't know what they would do if she suddenly, and so I said, no, not today, they're working. And she said, oh, okay. And then she just asked us about New Horizons and was very sweet, and we left it at that. And we probably could have allowed them, but I thought it was really good, especially for the older dogs, to see that person. And the puppy was sound asleep, so he didn't care. But the 2 older dogs definitely were like, oh, there's a person. And we're like, nope, sorry. And so it was good. It's okay to say not today.
Right. Right.
And explain.
Anybody else with questions? Yes, Laura.
I have I have half of Wasabi because I share raise with Wendy, but I'm also working with Wrangler, and Wrangler will be 2 in July. Wrangler pulls.
Mhm.
And I have tried different leash arrangements where he's better. I keep telling myself, I've had him 12 weeks. And I'm seeing improvement. Wendy's going to have him for the next couple of weeks. We'll see what Miss Wendy how she can shape him up. But the idea that, walking Wasabi, right now, it's pretty easy to correct him and get him to walk easy, to walk loose lead. So all of us that have pups that are in that 18, 20 week old range, work now.
Yes.
Because when they weigh 70 plus pounds, it's a whole nother gig. So it is worth the time to get them walking loose now while they're babies. And Wrangler, Wasabi wants to stride out, man. He, when he's walking, he's ready to go. But he will also listen and come back, and he gets his treat or his praise, and he's walking there next to you. And that's so much easier than the upper body workout that Wrangler is. You have any I've done circles. We stopped.
You know what? When Wendy gets them, maybe she and I'll hook up, and we'll the 3 of us, we can meet up somewhere and we can go through some stuff. I'd love to do that. Maybe we can video it so that everybody can see. That would be good.
Yeah, because
But one thing I would do with a dog like that that's got a lot of energy and bouncing off the walls, I would exercise him first, and then until his tongue is dragging in the sand, and then I would do my loose leash walking exercises. Whether they play ball, frisbee, whatever, I don't know what you guys are allowed to do or not do, but I would exercise him.
He is the highest energy golden I've had. He's kind of like a land shark. He seems to feel like if he's not moving, he can't breathe. He is not the laid back. Wasabi sacked out, done. And for Wrangler to sit or to settle, it is hallelujah time, because he will stand and watch for hours rather than sit or settle. So
sounds like
yeah,
you need a lot of exercise.
I guess we both do.
We all do.
Maybe I'll start running with him, Laura, when I have him.
Yeah.
That might help.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's
So Pat, Laura, I know you came in a little bit late. Pat did give some suggestions. That was one of the things we first covered, loose leash walking, but I remembered to record. Yes. So, and some of that was some of the things I know you've done, but maybe he has something, maybe he said something else that will click. I don't know.
I really think, Wendy, we need to do a video on it and share it with everybody, because it's not rocket science. It's just something that I found that works, and I think it'll work for
That would
everybody.
be amazing.
Yeah.
I have another part to that when Zulu gets startled. It doesn't matter where I am, but she will yank me, like if there's something she doesn't know, and I'm just afraid if she does that with somebody in a wheelchair. Like we were in Publix today, and right now there's a whole bunch of graduation balloons out. Didn't realize this was an issue. Now I'll get one at home and introduce her, but there's always something new like that, like a car that backfires when driving down the road, and she'll just like want to start bolting. And I just wanted to know, what can I do to help? Because I can introduce her to the things that I see, but there's always going to be something new in life, right? So how does she kind of get over that?
Is this one of the dogs that came out of the
prison? Yeah, she's 2. Yep, she's 2.
Yeah,
yep.
and a lot of that, sometimes we miss some of the developmental times of getting desensitized to new things.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this last time about the rule of 7, feeding the dog in 7 different kinds of food bowls, walking on 7 different kinds of flooring, and on and on and on through different things. And I think you probably can find the rule of 7 is still online somewhere, but you probably just need to really work on a lot of descents with her, it may never, ever go away because it's just part of her life now. She's just going to be afraid of something new until she sees it and knows that she's safe. But the big thing for you to do right now, if she does see something, she does get startled like that, you don't react. Don't say anything. Don't do anything. Wait for her to settle and then reinforce that. Because if you say anything or do anything, you could be reinforcing it yourself.
Mhm.
And the other thing is you've got to be really, really careful about not sending signals when you see something that she hasn't seen yet that you think she's going to freak out. Don't send that signal down that leash, because that's like a telephone line right to her. Mom's upset. What is it? What's in my environment? Oh my gosh, what is that? So you got to be really, really careful yourself.
And I am good about that, but it's just even like, I went to an Aldi that was the old style, and then I went to one where they had remodeled it. And again, she was freaking out. And I'm just like, I've introduced her to things like crazy in the last 6 months that I've had her. And yet every time it's something new, you know, not every time, but when it's like these balloons, you know, it was like, wow, you know, I just didn't even see them. And she just like all of a sudden wanted to tear me out of the store. And I'm like, what, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to be a time, and you've got a challenge in front of you. I'm not going to tell you you don't. So it's
yeah, I'm just so afraid how she will react. I mean, if she does this to me, even though it's like you're saying 7 different situations, but the 8th, it's still different again. You know, how is somebody going to handle that if they're in a chair, you know?
Well, right now, the goal is to get her through that. So
Yeah.
one of the things that Pat said was, so if your dog is startled, our first response to say to the dog is, oh, it's okay, don't worry, like we would to our kids.
Oh, no,
Don't do
I
that.
do
We
that.
talked about that before. We don't want to reassure them because we're sending them a bad message. If you don't know what to say, don't just stand there and wait until they've settled back down.
That's exactly what I did. I kind of just stayed with the balloons, you know, once I realized that was a trigger for her, you know?
Yep. So then you could walk away and give her a little bit of time in the store and then walk back by them.
We did on the way out. Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. So
the other big thing, guys, is don't go for marathon training sessions with any of these guys.
Right.
10, 15 minutes max and you're done. You know, and try to do multiple of those. Don't go for the hour or 2 or think you're going to get it. You're just not. They just don't have the attention span.
Right. So. Yeah. Some of our older guys are good. Like if you take them out, I mean, like we did we went on the train the other day, and part of the train ride was they were sacked out.
Sure.
It was just exposing them to the train, and then when we got to our destination, we got out, we took a nice little walk, and then we got back on the train. That was, you know, so.
I'm referencing the younger puppies we talked about earlier,
Right.
and that you know, they're still puppy brained, and we just got to take our time. It'll happen. And even the older dogs that missed out on a lot of this stuff because of COVID,
yes,
you know, we just got to take our time and treat them like an 8-week-old puppy or, you know, 3 or 4 month old puppy. It's just,
I'll do a couple minutes training session while I'm sitting on a couch. Or I've said to this to you before, when I go into the bathroom, all 3 dogs follow me in. And so I'll do a training session with all 3 of them right there. And Wasabi just kind of, because he's small and the other 2 are older, he follows right along with them. Everybody sits, everybody downs. And then, you know, I leave the bathroom and training session's over.
It's always training time. Like I said earlier, there's no magic cape comes on and then you start. Training time is all the time. Anytime you're with your dog, you're in training.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And it can be just a couple of minutes. So is there anybody that has any other questions, things you would like him to address? So he talked about earlier about loose leash walking. We're going to try to get in the next month or so, I'll get together with Pat and we'll try to do a video. We talked about that gentle J, just having that J in your leash, working on that, not always having the leash pulled up, you know, taut. He talked about markers. He calls them bridges. We call them markers. Okay. And training time being just anytime you're with your dog, and especially the puppies, just a few minutes here, a few minutes there. Crating is okay if you need to crate because they need a break or you need a break. Crating is fine. We want our dogs to be comfortable in their crate from 8 weeks to 3 years. I mean, once they go with their person and they're placed, if that person opts to not put them in a crate, that's their choice. But while they are in training, we want them to at least know how to get in their crate. They may not love it. I've had some dogs who love their crate, and I've had other dogs who are like, I guess so. But we just don't ever want to get away from that. So if you need to give them a timeout, if you need to put them in there for a few minutes for yourself, just use your crate. He did one thing that I really was taking sliced cheese, and rubbing the kibble into it. I thought, oh my God, that's a great idea. Because I'm always looking for like new treats, but my dogs pretty much eat anything. So that's a great idea. I could just use my own kibble and rub it in sliced cheese, and ta-da, I have a new treat. And if you can't have your eyes on your dog and you are concerned that they can get into trouble, put them in the crate. Put them in their safe place. And then we talked a little bit with Carlina about biting. That's something we don't want our dogs to do. And I know there's some of you that are really working on that. And I'm going to look up the rule of 7 and send that to you. I'll send it to Kate. She'll put it in an email. I'll also put it on our Facebook page. So any other questions that you would have for Pat that he could address this evening?
Wendy, I have a question for Pat.
Okay.
This is Samantha and Karen. We're getting ready to take Caliber, who's she was one of the prison puppies, and she, everything's kind of new, and she's gotten 100 times better. But when I know she's going to be exposed to something, we're going to go to Greenville and we have to walk downtown, and there's going to be dogs. And what I've done in the past with even Navajo, Sam's service dog, is Sam will have treats. So when she sees a dog coming, she'll have her look at her and have the treat there so the dog can kind of focus more on Sam. Is that something that I can do with Caliber as we're walking through the streets? When I see something that I know she's going to react to, can I just have her watch me and with a treat and just, go by the dog? Or is there another way of doing that? Because she is going to come up with a million things that are new to her. And I just wasn't sure. I didn't want to be rewarding too much, or I didn't want to be reinforcing any where she has self-doubt, because she is kind of a chicken. She's very timid, but it's you never know what you're going to get. So I know certain things that I can see ahead of time that I can definitely just say, watch me, and she'll just let a dog go by. But is that the appropriate way to do it? Or, I don't know.
I almost don't want to put her in that situation if she's not ready for it. I think I would do very short, quick sessions of it, and I would not try to do a whole day.
Okay.
I don't think from what you're saying, I don't know the dog, but what you're saying, she reacts to a lot of things now. And it's almost like, okay, you're afraid of heights, I'm going to hang you over the side of the building by your ankles until you get used to it. No, that doesn't work. Right. It just makes it worse. Right. So because somewhere along the line, you may inadvertently reinforce the wrong behavior and make her even harder. So if there's any way you can just do it for a short burst and put her up somewhere, and do it for a short burst and
that we can easily do that. She's just so she is sometimes a hot mess and sometimes she's perfect. So it's very easy. We can easily we easily have a place to put her.
Okay, good.
I'm not going to touch that one.
Yeah, at a certain point, you're trying to get her exposed to things, and she's, we built a little mannequin because she's afraid of mannequins. And so I fed her in front of the mannequin, just like I fed her in the car for 3 weeks. And now she doesn't care about the mannequin at all. She'll eat in front, she'll bring the bowl to it and all that kind of stuff. So I know going slow is the right way to go, because we've been 3 weeks and whatever. But I didn't know if walking down the street, if there any other way to get her used to just walking by a dog, or should I just keep her at that 30 feet away until she's.
Well, I mean, you can always start anytime with a dog. If it's another dog that she reacts to, or if it's a person she reacts to, you can always find locations where you can start a distance away and approximate yourself closer and closer and closer until where they're not giving any reaction. I've had clients where I've taken to a Publix parking lot and we had to start all the way out to the far islands away from the store and then work our way in. And when we first started, we just went in their SUV, we went to the store, we opened the back hatch, we sat there and fed the dog its dinner. Every time it was calm, it got fed its dinner, and we closed the door and left. We never even got out of the car.
Okay.
Or the dog didn't. And then we moved closer and closer and closer. And then we were on the grass island. Then we were walking in front of the store. And then people were coming up and greeting the dog. And we slowly moved closer and closer and desensitized the dog to, it's not a bad place. It's a good place to be.
Okay.
So that's how I teach anything like that, where they have something where they're afraid of. But every
So
dog
new
is
people
different.
as
Every
well.
situation is going to be different. So I can't just say,
Right.
wave my magic wand over the Zoom here and make it work. You got to read what the dog's giving you to.
Okay, we got it. All right.
And I think
Thank
short
you very much.
sessions is a good idea. Dana, I haven't missed your question, but Nathaniel, I saw you kind of waving your hand.
I still have a very
All the time.
and all the time, but
He did it
when I
tonight.
take Oscar out to do his business, he still does these full blown.
I call it wild rodeo.
Well, we call
ride.
it rodeos because he just zooms and barks and growls. So, is there a way for me to try to stop him from doing it, or should I just let him do it?
Does he just need more exercise?
Or does he just need more
Basically,
exercise?
basically he's
Is he at
getting
a
the
safe
Zoom.
place? Is he safe where he's doing that?
Is he
Yeah.
safe?
Yes.
I have
Yes.
the leash.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
he's
all to me.
leashed.
I'm on the one that's on the ground, using spinning in the grass and
Oh.
legs in the air, and I'm trying to control him. And the neighbor's like, "Oh my god!" But I'm like, "Woo!" I'm spinning and help.
So does
So
he-
yeah,
does
he
he
It's
have
my
a-
front yard.
sounds
Does
like
he have a
he
place?
needs a yard or somewhere to run, a safe place to run.
Yeah.
He
Is
does,
there a-
and I
is
wish
there
we
a-
did. 'Cause there's no
Is there a
fenced
safe
in.
place for him to run or exercise?
We don't. I mean, we walk him a lot, and we tried it a few dog parks, but he doesn't even run. He just kind of sniffs around and stands. I'm like, you can run, play. And I try to get him to run after me and play with the balls, but in there he won't do it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to find someplace. It sounds like he's figured out on the leash there that he gets tugged and hears mom scream and make funny sounds when he does this. So
Uh-huh.
it's
And I'm like, I'm
interesting
trying
now
not to
for him
react
do it.
and let him do it, but yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
I
have
would.
a-
You're gonna have to figure out a way to teach him. Now, what I would do is maybe put him on a short lead and teach him to walk out slowly and sit when he gets out there, and then switch to maybe a flexi or a long lead, and you stand in one spot.
Yeah,
and
that
hold
one of
on.
those.
And that way he can run
Okay.
around
Yeah,
and not
the
get hurt. Lead not jerk your
flexi
shoulder
when
out.
So I actually had a similar issue with Phoebe. And I when I
Yeah,
went
I'm waiting for my rotator cuff to go again.
Got two people talking at once. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm not hearing.
No, I'm not either. Go ahead, Jessica. Try again.
Yeah, no problem. I had a similar issue with Fiji, and I leashed her when I was in the dog park. So she would learn to that's where we run and play, not when we're walking on the leash, running around and playing.
Yeah.
That kind of helped for me. She still pulls when we walk. She doesn't really do the zoomies anymore, but we're working on it. But that might help.
That's a good idea. Yeah. It's in a safe place where if she did get loose. Yeah, but I think it really sounds like it needs exercise. So
Yeah. Yep.
I hate to do this, but I need to run, guys.
Okay, Pat, thank you so much. Dana, stay on and we'll address your question. Thank you for joining us. And Pat, I'll get together with you.
Yes, I'm going to do one plug for an event we're doing here in Claremont.
Okay.
On the 12th of June, we're doing Pups in the Park at Lake Hiawatha Park here in Claremont. And my business, Pat the Dog, along with the city of Claremont and the police department are sponsoring it. And it's from 8:30 to 11 or 11:30. And there's going to be a bathing suit contest for the dogs, for the dogs.
Okay.
My groomer keeps threatening to put her fiance in a Speedo, and he has a Pomeranian and he's a big man. So
that's funny.
Please don't. But and I'll be one of the judges for that contest. But it's where our dog park is in Claremont. It's on 12th Street, Lake Hiawatha Park.
And it's Hiawatha Park?
Hiawatha.
On 12th Street, and it's 8:30 to 11.
Yeah, 11 or 11:30.
And they just show up?
Yep, to show up. It's just going to be a dog event. There's going to be some vendors out there. I don't know how big. It's the first ever.
Okay.
So
okay.
And then it may be a good time, Wendy's, for us to get together and maybe do some filming afterwards or before or during or whatever. So we can do some loose leash walking stuff. So if you got a chance to come out there.
Okay, and I'll have Kate send out an email about that.
Yeah, I think it's all on the City of Claremont's website, if I'm not mistaken. So you can find it all there in their Facebook page. Okay?
All right, super. Thank you so much. We appreciate
Thanks,
your time.
guys. All right.
Thank you, Pat.
All right.
Thank
See you
you.
again soon. Okay, all right, bye.
Take care. Oh, Dana, what to do when dog will not stay in sit? He goes to stand, but stays next to me. So won't go in sit when? Like anytime?
No, like, you told us that when we're standing somewhere or at the register, if we're talking or whatever, we put the dog in a sit or down position. Either position I put him in, within a second, he'll go in it and I'll be, yes, good dog, or out, whatever. And then he gets up and then he's stubborn about going back in it. He
And
wants
he
to
won't-
just stand, but he stays right with me.
So if he's standing by you and he's not, smelling everything in the way, and he's really what you would consider behaving.
Okay.
I mean, a stand is okay. Obviously, the goal is to eventually to get him to, in the line, you're kind of moving. So it would be hard for him to sit or down because he'd be standing every time you moved. So maybe he's anticipating that. I don't know.
Well, it's not just in a line. I mean, I could just be stopped, talking to someone, and he's just not, he's not a sitter. He doesn't want to just sit.
So I would try to get him to go down. If he doesn't want to sit, okay, but see if you can get him to go down and just be at your feet.
Okay.
Because that's kind of what we want.
Okay. No, that's what you're saying. So I keep trying, but like I said, after that first time, and I say, yes, good boy. So maybe I shouldn't say anything.
Nope.
And just see if he stays.
Yep. Yeah. Once he goes down, then just leave him be. Don't say anything.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is Ann. I have a question. If that dog is in the middle of an aisle and he's laying down, I'm afraid somebody's going to come along. People don't look down to see dogs laying down there. I'd be afraid that somebody's going to fall over that dog.
No, it's not in an aisle. I mean, I'm saying if we're sitting at the, waiting in line at the register, if it's going to be a minute, I do try to get him to sit right there next to me, between me and the buggy.
Okay.
But a lot of times, just when I'm out for a walk, if I stop to talk to neighbor, because they're always coming up, and it's also good for him because he likes to go and meet and greet everybody, and pull, but trying to get him to stay in a sit position at that point, he doesn't want to stay. He wants to be up.
So if I'm standing somewhere and I'm talking to somebody or I'm in line, I will at least try to make sure that the dog is in front of me, that they're, like what Ann says, that they're not in the way, that they're not standing out to the side of me. So I'll have them, if I have a cart and it's me and then I'm talking to somebody, I will have the dog go in between me and the cart. And that's where I want them, so that they're not in the way.
Yeah, I want my dog to be safe.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, he sprawls out. So he has to be in between because he's a sprawler.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I would, if he goes down, I wouldn't say a word to him.
Okay, I'll try that. I didn't even think about that until he started talking about the whole correction thing with the because Alvin's gotten to where every now and again he'll smell something on the kitchen counter that he thinks he likes better than his dog food. And we've always said, so I guess I just need to go and get him and move him out of there and put him in the kennel.
Yes, tell him off.
One of the situations that I do with Benson, I take him to the bank. And in the bank, when you're sitting at the teller, there's not a lot of distractions, and I have him settle and lay down, and he's, there's not a lot of distractions. So when I'm in the grocery store or other places, when I stop walking and I'm doing something with somebody else, he just lays down. It's almost like a conditioning. When we're exiting somewhere, if I stop and I'm standing still, he just lays down.
Yeah.
But the bank is a really good place to do that because there's not a lot of distractions. He can't even see the person I'm talking to.
Yeah. Yep.
I have a question about kind of the correction thing. So if we're not telling them like, and they're doing something we don't want them to do, do we just grab them and crate them for like 5 minutes and then let them out? Like, how does that work?
So it's not that we don't want to correct them.
Because Fiji loves like being told, like it's like, it's almost like challenging. Like, she's like, oh yeah, you told me, like, well, I'm just gonna run around and you have to chase me now.
Okay, so then maybe you say, as you're grabbing a hold of her collar and leading her to her crate. Okay, let's go. That's,
Okay.
Yeah.
Like for a short amount of time, or do I leave her in there for?
If she's comfortable and that she's safe, she's not doing something she's not supposed to be. Crate's not hurting her.
Right.
You can go on about your day. And so,
And is chewing on the crate okay? Because that's what she does at night because she doesn't want to sleep in there. I don't know why. Like, I've never let her sleep anywhere else. She'll settle in like 5 minutes, but she just like chews on it.
Like at the start, she'll chew on the wire.
Yeah, like on it's like the black bars. Like
okay, on the wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you say anything?
I ignore her.
Yeah, I would just ignore her. She'll stop eventually.
Okay.
I feel good on her teeth. It's cold. I don't know. I mean, yeah, that little girl has a mind of her own.
I think she's trying to escape. That's why she's trying to like chew on it. She thinks she's gonna get out, but she's not gonna get out.
No.
So I don't know what she's doing.
So if you ignore her, she'll eventually stop because
even at night, like I'll put her in there. Sometimes she's really tired. She'll pass out, but she just, when she's not that tired, when she has a little bit more left in her, she'll just bark, and then.
So maybe do a little training, a short training session with her before you crate her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get
her brain moving, and then, okay, the night is over.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I agree. Fiji and Sage act just alike, but that's what I've been doing, Jessica, is like I'll tire Sage out before she goes to bed.
Yeah.
Like go for a run or something. She'll be exhausted. She'll be so excited to go in her crate. She just passes out.
That's what I've been trying to do, but for some reason, sometimes she's just, like a kid when they're like crying because they just want to cry.
Yeah.
Like that's what it just it seems like she's throwing a tantrum just to do it, and then 5 minutes later she's done.
No.
But I don't know.
Yeah, let her throw her tantrum and ignore her. She'll get over it.
Yeah.
Wendy?
Yes.
Well, I've refrained from putting Chutney in his kennel if he's doing something wrong because I didn't want to associate it with you're doing something wrong. It's a punishment type of thing. I didn't really want to do that. But Chutney has a little problem grazing in the kitchen. And last week we downed 2 sticks of butter. Now you can try as best you can, and I push everything to the back of the countertops now. But Chutney likes to jump up on the counter. And I've got the bottle with the coins in it, and as soon as I go towards that, he'll jump back down. But we've consumed a tomato, 2 sticks of butter. You can turn your back in a second, and man, is he quick. He is right on the countertop.
Yeah.
Just looking around, and it's in some ways it's the funniest damn thing you ever saw because it's the butter and the package as well. There's no and then he'll have this big face hanging over the counter like, oh, what have I got? So I don't want to put him in his crate for that, but I do use the bottle with the pennies in it because that tends to go, he'll kind of look at it like, oh, she's mad at me now.
Are you saying off?
Sorry?
Are you saying off? Are you saying off?
No, I'm saying down.
No,
so
off.
Off.
The command is off. When we want them to come off of something, the couch, a bed, up on the counter. Yeah, down is when they're laying down.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So it's off. So I would tell him, then I would try to catch him the next time. And I would say,
well, that's not, that's easy enough.
You got to be quick, Margaret. I would say
know.
off, and then I would just very nicely, don't say anything, just lead him to his crate and give him a timeout for a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
There's,
Yeah.
I
Margaret,
mean,
Yeah.
does he know out? We are making our dogs, if we go into the kitchen, we
Uh-huh.
actually had a painter's tape piece on the tile that they had to go out. And they used that blue line to know that they weren't supposed to come in any further than that. That really
Well.
helped. It's just because they'll go in and start snooping and we can say out
Yeah.
and they know that they're not supposed to be in there. It also keeps me from bashing myself when I turn around and there's a dog right behind me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's I will try to remember off though. It's just natural.
if he's not
reaction to stay
trustworthy in the
down, get
kitchen, don't
down.
let him in.
right.
Well, yeah, we try. I mean, we try that as well. But you can turn your back that fast, and he's right there. He's a little snooper.
Yeah.
So but-
Anything that we want them off of is off.
okay.
Yep. Down is only for down on the ground.
Okay.
Yep. So, and it's okay. Pat was addressing this earlier. He talked about, he said, I think people's philosophy has been, if you put your dog in a crate for punishment, then the crate becomes this place they don't want to go. And he said, when you're kids, you got put in your room. Did you not sleep in your room that night? No. So, and I said, no, but don't throw them in there. I mean,
Right.
in your crate. I mean, you just take them to the crate.
Yeah, that energy between you and what you're trying to discipline. Yeah. Oh, I do notice that makes a big difference because you can be really quite upset at them at times, but then you also have to take a deep breath and change that energy.
Yep.
Because they'll just react to it. I mean,
right.
Chutney will just turn right around and do it again because you've got that. But
so you just want to tell him off and very nicely just say crate and take him to his crate and close the door and give yourself a timeout.
Give ourselves a timeout. Yeah.
So we do have some counter surfers, and that is something we do want to break if it's a problem. So.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a problem with Chutney if I can't break it. But I mean, Trifle doesn't even touch anything, but Chutney, man, he's got a nose and he's tall. He's big for his
the other thing is, for a while, don't leave anything on your counter that he can get.
Well, I try hard.
I mean, I know.
We've learned that the hard way. Yeah, we've learned that one the hard way. You just turn around for a second and boom. So that or shut him out the kitchen, one of the two. He can be shut out the kitchen. Yeah, I'll have to work a little harder on it. But I will work on the off.
Okay. And somebody, Caliber's asking, is Caliber allowed to make friends if she's afraid of people? Well, I wouldn't force her to make friends. I mean, just see if she's afraid of people and she's acting like she's afraid, I wouldn't force her. I wouldn't even encourage her to make friends with people, because when she gets placed with her recipient, she's not going to be making friends all over the place. So if she's afraid of people, that's okay. I mean, you want her to just kind of ignore them. So if she's doing that already, then that's not necessarily a bad thing. We don't want her to be afraid of people because she has to be around them. But if making friends is not her thing, that's okay. We'd like all of our dogs to have that ability to just not want to make friends with people, because that's what they're going to have to do when they get placed with their person. They're just going to have to ignore everybody. So if she's doing that, then that's good. I hope I answered that question, because that's a hard one. If she's afraid of people. Yeah. She can't be afraid of people, though. She knows you, so she's not afraid of you. So, just afraid of new things. Anything else? We are at 8:26. You guys have been great. Pat was great. I will have Kate send out maybe just a couple of things that he talked about. I will have her also send out this Pups in the Park any of you can go, that would be awesome. I'm sure he'd love to. I am personally going to be out of town that day. But if any of you can go, Claremont's a beautiful area. And if you've never been there, it's very pretty. And I don't know that I've been to Hiawatha Park. I've been to a couple of parks there. Anyway, thank you. There is a in-person training at the end of June. Kate will be sending out information. I think there's going to be 2 on the same day. One is going to be down towards Disney, and the other one is going to be up in DeLand, we hope. They're both going to be at fire stations, where we are hoping that the firefighters will get dressed in their gear and you'll hear stuff. And we're hoping that both of those work out. So Kate will be sending information. We have one set up and we're in the process of setting up the other. So, and I believe that's on June 26th. It's the last. Hey, dude. Hey, Sabi, watch me. Yes, good boy. He's over there chewing something. A box. He's got a thing about boxes. I think it's the last Saturday in June. So just to give you a heads up, Kate will send out an email though. And like I said, if you're not on the friends page on Facebook, either friend Kate or friend myself or friend Etta. And if you're not friends with me on Facebook, you don't have to be, but this would be how you would get on that friends page. Go. Why isn't it? Oh, it's going. I know that's why. That's what I'm under. I use my maiden name also, so my students can't find me. I like to hide from my students. Yes. Okay. Any other quick questions?
I just want to say really quick. I know we all wish everything was going perfectly, but I feel so much better that I'm not the only one struggling, because I have started to feel like a complete failure this week.
No, everybody struggles with something, and it's all different.
Yeah. So thank you.
So, yep. No, just keep doing what you're doing, and you and I are going to get together. So, yeah, everybody just keep at it. It's a job every day. So we appreciate what you are doing. So, all right. Thank you guys. This has been recorded. So if you want to go back to it, it will be, Kate will send the link out either tomorrow. Well, is tomorrow Friday? Yes, tomorrow's Friday. I've already lost track of days this week. Could tell it's summer break. She'll send an email out with this link. So anyway, thank you guys. Have a good night. And
thank you, Wendy. Bye.
Bye.